back.
Another episode, February 2nd, 2008.
Oh, we're going to start dating this now. So when we post it in a week and a half, like I saw yesterday, I saw so many videos yesterday. They were all posted yesterday about Cardano and all these other, Populous and whatever else. And they were actually dated and uploaded yesterday. Like, wow, the market's doing great. It's hit an all-time high of $1.
Not so much.
No.
Not so much. So here on Groundhog Day, we're going to make sure that hopefully we don't go back and visit that 7,500 low that on some exchanges Bitcoin actually retraced to.
I'm Brett Blackman.
Jeff Lewandowski.
Merkle Institute. What's Merkle?
That's a good question.
All right, so today we're going to talk about what? Just what are maybe our top projects are.
As we were talking about it, we figured we spent a lot of time talking about blockchain, what is blockchain, getting into some other conversations about the news of the day. And certainly we talked a little bit about technical analysis and some of them in the market in general, but I don't think we've really got into, with all of our exposure and things that we've had an opportunity to see within the space, do you have any favorites?
What, is this like supposed to be a pump and dump video? Like the rest of?
Well, again, this is not financial advice and we are not financial advisors, so we expect you to do your own research. And you should be expecting that we're pumping this right now. So there is no question about what the motive is behind our activities.
Just kidding. But for real, obviously the projects that we talk about, we are probably definitely absolutely involved in. Take that with a grain of salt. However, we do have done our own research and a lot of research on some of these projects, and some of them we're hopefully going to use. So anyway, yours is what?
Yeah, my favorite of all of them. If you force me to pick one, obviously I've got a bucket of tokens or coins rather, and companies that I'm a fan of. But my number one, it's been my number one for a long time, is Populous.
Okay.
So if you're not familiar with Populous, what Populous is it's in the invoice factoring arena, and what that really, you can translate the word factoring to invoice lending. And so there's a lot of companies worldwide, usually small to medium businesses that need cash flow to operate. So as opposed to going out and getting a short-term loan to cover the cost of payroll, to cover the cost of office, insurance, all those things that come up, they sell invoices that have certain delivery dates. So for example, I'm in the consulting business. So we'll go out and we'll sign a contract with a customer and we'll start to deliver the work, but we will, on rare occasions, bill up front. We'll usually bill when the work is done. And so let's just say there's a amount of time that a customer has to pay the bill. So we submit a bill, let's say it's $100,000. A customer usually has somewhere between 30 and 45 days to pay us after they receive that. So we've already done our work. Let's say it's a month and a half worth of work. So we're covering payroll for that month and a half. Then we submit the invoice for $100,000, and then we've got to wait another month and a half. So a 3-month period of time between when we started and people are on payroll and we're covering office expenses to the time that we receive money.
Right.
And so a lot of times what companies will do is they'll say, okay, the minute that they submit that $100,000 invoice, they'll say, oh, I need payment now. And so they'll go to a bank and they'll say, I will sell you my $100,000 receivable invoice for $95,000. The bank will take that because that's an incredible return for them. And you think about, a return over 6 weeks of 5%, if you multiply that out over the course of the year, it's a pretty significant return. So overall, this business worldwide is about $3 trillion, invoice factoring, that is. And blockchain has allowed other players now. It's opened this up. It's not just the big banks that get an opportunity to participate in this, which, by the way, this also represents 30% of global banking revenue comes out of invoice factoring. So it's massive.
So a third of all banking revenue
comes out of this, yeah.
Well, that's pretty big. So what's nice about this, I'm guessing, is that now you don't have to, one invoice isn't backed by one player. It's backed by a community. Because of smart contracts? Is that how they're doing it?
It could be that way, or it could simply be, and it's opening up the world to, you now get to play the bank, and if you, as your company, if you want to sell into it, you can do it very easily. A lot of times banks have parameters. They say you need to have 2 to 5 million in net turnover on an annual basis, and maybe you're small enough that you don't have that. And so this, it doesn't matter in this case. And so this is just an opportunity for you to be the bank or you to be the seller as a small business that doesn't necessarily fit those revenue thresholds that most banks require you to have. And the thing I really like about this is that you use the tokens. So if you hold the tokens, this is probably the reason it's one of my favorites, is because it's the most functional utility that's out there. So you could hold the tokens, you utilize the tokens to actually fund the actual invoice, and then when the invoice is paid, you get the same amount of tokens back, irrespective of fluctuation in the price of Populous tokens. And so when I think about this, what I intend to do in about a year, maybe 2 years, is really start to actively push this as a passive income engine and have it be, lifelong passive income coming in off of the Populous tokens that I hold.
Interesting. Okay. Now they're live or beta?
Yeah, they're live. They just opened up beta a few days ago, actually. And so they're using real invoices in the beta. They're using real sellers, but it's just on a beta level. They're just testing it out and making sure that everything is there. The CEO, Nico, he's very fanatical about not necessarily working through the agile approach. That is, let's just roll it out 1.0 and have it be all buggy and have our users figure it out. He wanted to have a finer system in there that actually did work and maybe had a few bugs here and there that could be worked out through the beta.
Well, that sounds more like a real engineering enterprise solution.
Right.
Versus basement dwellers.
Right. Right.
All right. Well, I own Populous. You have Populous?
I do.
And it's been going up like crazy the last.
Yeah, through this whole downturn, it's actually, I think it's up like 150%.
Yeah. Well, it's because they're actually functioning.
Yeah.
They're starting to function.
Yep.
Which is big. Well, mine's Cardano.
Yeah.
Brought Cardano to you guys several months back. Gave it to our engineering
I remember
team.
it was right before the holidays, I think.
Yeah, I think it was really low too. 12,
Yeah.
13, 14, 15 cents, something, nothing much.
I do remember watching it. I remember watching it on the Coin Market Cap board, and it was one that would just be like, it's up 50%, it's up 75% in a day.
Yeah.
It just kept going, and it was like pennies at the time.
Yeah. I did that one a little differently. The reason I'm a huge fan of Cardano is I like our engineers at Health Splash. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're some of the best and most bright engineers in the world, and they've got some reason to say that they're amongst the best because their technology runs Fortune 50 companies and is deemed the fastest technology processing solution in the world as of right now. And that system's been running for 15 years, and it's a distributed system, and so they know what they're doing. And when I gave this to them, and you got to take it very, very easy with engineers. Like, I wanted to go, stop what you're doing, go look at this. I think what they're doing is really good. And my CTO goes, Brett, you can't do that with engineers. Like, you need a water cooler. You're like, hey, I came across this. What do you get some time? You want to take a look at it for me?
Yeah.
And about a week later, my CTO comes back and goes, our head of engineering is in love with Cardano. He goes, but the problem is it's vaporware at the moment. It can do the currency, which is what everything can do. But he said, if we as an organization were to look at the way, if we had to solve what the community is trying to solve, which is scalability.
And just sorry, real quickly, Brett, what does Cardano do?
Cardano is basically what we would call third generation blockchain. If you had Bitcoin is first generation, Ethereum is second generation, Cardano would be third generation. So you basically had concept, MVP, you had application, so your beta test would be Ethereum, and then enterprise solution, it would be like you are a toddler, you're an adolescent, and now you're a teenager. And that's really, but they put the systems in place to take it. So it will do everything as they rolled out. It will do everything that Ethereum's doing, everything that Bitcoin can do. But they're doing it with their own proof of stake concept. They've got their own treasury. They've got their own voting and civic units. It's absolutely genius in the way they're approaching it. They've got the top universities in the world, Oxford, MIT, and so forth, working on particular aspects of the solution. They're peer reviewing it. They're building it on a system on Haskell, which is a system that allows algorithmic data testing. which is the same processing solution that you use for, say, NASA.
Yeah.
One of the funniest quotes I heard was, the world is moving their value to a solution that hasn't been tested in the way that an airplane technology is tested or NASA is tested. You won't get on a plane unless it runs through that particular technology protocol because it can't fail. Like, if it fails, you die.
Yeah.
Okay. In NASA, you can't go kick the rover on Mars. Oh, I got to reboot that. Let's walk over and kick it.
Right.
It can't fail. There is no 99.99. 5.9 is kind of the standard in technology.
Yep. Six Sigma.
Right. That's standard in technology until you have critical, which is airplanes, NASA, and currency. Hello, value. Like, that should be better than 5.9. It has to be up 100% of the time. You can't have a point down. Like, you go down, the world crashes. So that's their philosophy, and they're approaching it at a very peer review, scholarly research, and then true testing before they even build stuff. And then when they build it, they know what they're building to match it back to the algorithm.
So it's a foundational technology.
Absolutely.
It's generation 3 foundational technology.
Correct.
It can do the same things that Bitcoin can do. It can do the same things that
Ethereum
can do, what EOS is working to do, and so forth. So it fits within that genre of company. And what about, I know one of the things we talked about before, what about transaction speed?
Well, so I watched another video on it last night. They are still trying to figure out transaction speed because in theory, basically the way you have right now you have a block, right? Mm-hmm. And transactions hit that block, they close down the block on time, and then they start a new block. And then that block gets validated, and then it's secured into the chain. So their theory is scalability, that you create this master set of nodes, basically, that create this block.
Okay.
But then you simultaneously create another master set of nodes that create another set of block. And so basically you have universal scalability.
Interesting.
And so there isn't, in theory, unless you run out of nodes, there isn't a scalability issue. That's where they're heading down, which is the exact same way our system runs today that runs the Fortune 50s. There is not a single point of entry. It is mass entry, mass ways in, but the same protocols. And which is why our team is so intrigued with how they're approaching blockchain in third generation. We know for a fact from Enterprise Solutions that's how it has to be done to handle volume and scalability. And they came across that same theory, utilizing basically the same type of protocols that we use internally for blockchain.
Interesting.
That's why we're intrigued about it.
There you go. Well, there you have it. So we wanted to spend a little bit of time expressing what our favorites were. You got our favorites today, and we're also keeping good with a promise we made yesterday to try to keep these videos a little closer to 10 minutes.
13. We almost got there.
That's right.
It sucks when you have one of your best friends you just get to DS about your favorite topic. It's pretty easy to talk.
That's right. So until the next episode, I'm Jeff.
I'm Brett.
We'll talk to you soon.
What's Merkle?